Okay, I'll call the Planning and Development Committee to order on June 17th at 6:10. All committee members are present, Mr. Flowers and Ms. Joseph Saul. We have a few things on the agenda. Mr. Flowers, if you would mind starting on your visit with Hocking College President Betty Young.
Sure. I met with Dr. Young and a lady named Maya Kiefer at Hocking College last Friday at the behest of Mr. Holmes asked me to do that. And Maya is Japanese, and she is presently working, and I think I've got this right, at the University of Pittsburgh in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Dr. Young did most of the talking, of course, but I believe she even told me she went to OU. I think she told me that. And her business plan is ceramics, and she wants to investigate the possibility of moving in the area and doing her ceramics. She has a kiln and she does ceramics. She was trained in some kind of a paper mache type thing, or I don't know if it's mache or what, but she's mainly a ceramic type of an artist. She teaches at the University of Pittsburgh in Kansas, and she, like I said, she wants to open a business here, so she was investigating areas where she could do that. There's the Eagles building is due to get started, I believe, with some grants, and once they get the Eagles building up, Dr. Young had spoken to Brett Adams, and Brett Adams, who owns the Black Diamond Distillery here in Nelsonville, and he said that once he gets that top floor and the bottom floor all done, that the stores on the bottom floor, he could possibly put her in one of those stores, which I think would be a very nice thing, because people staying in the hotel, it would give them something to do, to go around, do some ceramics and see the town, go to, different areas. She also, Betty also talked to her about submitting a resume and perhaps working at, having a course at Hocking College for her craft. So I spoke with Dr. Young today, and Dr. Young said that they did get her resume and her husband's resume, but she hasn't quite looked at it yet, and she would tell me a little bit more about that part of it than she does. But anyway, it was a nice meeting. She really likes the area. I spoke to her about we'd like for her to live in Nelsonville, and buy a home and be part of our community. So, but I think this is down the road, approximately a year, right, Mr. Holmes? So, but she's getting things lined up. So it was, all in all, it was a nice meeting. She was a nice lady, and she was pretty pumped up about this area. So I'm glad that you had me go down and talk to her. That's about all I got. You any questions?
I don't. Does anyone else?
Again, Councilman Flowers, I appreciate you, because I didn't call you too late and you were willing to step in. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome anytime.
No question?
What was it that drew him to the area?
I'm sorry?
What was it that drew him to the area for ceramics?
Well, she went to OU, and then also, her son lives in Indiana.
I thought she said over by Dayton.
Yes,
Across-
Richmond, Indiana, yeah, across the
Okay.
border, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're looking to come here, and, but I wasn't here probably my first week, but I got a call from her husband. And we have spoken several times, and he told me that she was gonna be here, so, I had a meeting with her and Jennifer LaRue, and, they were talking ceramics, and I was completely and totally lost. I looked at Jennifer, I said, do you understand what she's saying? She said, yes. I said, fine, then I'll just stay out of it. So she probably mentioned it, but they also have a connection in Japan. with
Yes, she did.
Some potters.
Yes.
So,
Yes, right.
it would really be nice, and this may be just guessing, but or hoping, but it would be nice if we were able to attract them here, if we could maybe, form a sister city relationship with
That
a
would be
community in Japan.
Yeah. that would be-
So that their students can come over here and maybe our students can go over there. So all in all, I think it has some good possibilities, and as people contact me, I will bring that to the committee and share that with you, but, that's why I think it's important to be involved in the Athens, economic development. It didn't come through there, but we need to be sharing our resources. For instance, now we've got some empty buildings. They need to know what we have available, so that if someone's looking for property, it's on their inventory.
I've also believed that I think we should probably work a little closer with the Chamber of Commerce, because this is right down their alley, new businesses and, bringing new people into town. And she did say that, she would like to, actually do it and teach people how to do it, in her business, and then of course make different ceramics of sorts. And she has a kiln and the whole thing where she can, fire them up and harden them up and stuff. So yeah, she's a very nice lady, and I appreciate the fact that I got to meet her.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And that's,
Um,
I look forward to hearing more updates on this front, as the Hocking College people, put their heads toward, starting the program that Betty was inspired about with,
Yes.
with Ms. Kiefer's resume
Right.
and her husband's resume, as well as the developments at the Eagles Building.
Yeah, and what was her husband? She told me what her husband did. Do you remember what he has something to do with administrative work, I believe.
I think his background is in business.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because Betty had talked about him submitting a resume also, because he, his business,
Yeah,
and I think his wife said he was in administrative. I don't know if it was in the University of Pittsburgh part of it or what.
I don't remember the specifics.
Okay, next on the agenda, we can have a discussion on the certified local government. Ms. Joseph Saul, if you'd like to take a lead on that.
Sure, yeah, so to recap from earlier discussions, Certified Local Government is a program under the National Park Service that partners with local governments to support historic preservation. It is administered by each state's State Historic Preservation Office, jointly with the National Parks Service. Beyond like being a tool for promoting historic preservation, it's also a pipeline to grant funding through the National Park Service and historic preservation efforts at the federal level and at the state level. The eligibility requirements are to be a general purpose unit of local government, meaning not a specific district, but for Nelsonville as a whole. Have a historic preservation ordinance that establishes a preservation commission, and I can get into the details of that in a second. Have a qualified historic preservation commission with trained members. Agree to enforce appropriate preservation standards, especially for locally designated historic properties, and provide for public participation in the historic preservation process. In order to apply through the State Historic Preservation Office, the city has to submit an application and provide documentation of its preservation ordinance. Now, the Ohio History Connection publishes a sample ordinance that I'll go over with you guys. You also have to submit information about the composition and qualifications of the Historic Preservation Commission, which are fairly open-ended as far as, the capacity of the local economy, in producing somebody who has, architectural experience or whatnot. It's not black and white. And demonstrate a commitment to ongoing preservation activities. The State Historic Preservation Office often offers training, guidance, and sample ordinances to help local governments meet with the requirements. And then you kind of continue through the process. Continue through the process from there by signing a certification agreement, maintaining status, and enjoying the benefits such as eligibility for federal preservation grants, technical assistance from the State Historic Preservation Office and National Park Service, greater involvement in the review of National Register nominations in the community, and enhanced credibility in local preservation efforts. So I've got the sample historic preservation ordinance from the Ohio History Connection printed out. At a minimum, it should clearly state prohibited conditions of deterioration, provide adequate enforcement procedures, and contain some means of addressing cases of economic hardship. That runs you through, the title section, definitions, procedures for establishing a board or commission, which shall consist of a minimum of 5 members, all of whom have demonstrated a special interest, experience, or knowledge in history, architecture, or related disciplines. At least 2 of the 5 should be preservation-related professional members to the extent that such professionals are available in the community. It can include architecture, architectural history, archaeology, planning, or related disciplines. And we've got, we at least have folks who are steeped in knowledge of history, and especially local history, and planning, and related disciplines. At least 2-year terms of office, which are staggered, rules of procedure, including a section addressing conflict of interest established and made public, at least 4 meetings a year held at regular intervals in a public place, advertised in advance, and decisions made in a public forum, applicants notified of meetings and advised of decisions, etc. It also gives us some sample language for defining the powers and duties of the board or commission, the procedures for the identification, review, and designation of individual landmarks and historic districts, procedures for reviewing proposed alterations, including demolition and new construction to designated resources, enforcement provisions and penalties, appeals procedures, severability, which is the city deciding that the ordinance or the application thereof is invalid, inseverable, such as what we are trying to do with our charter at the moment, and minimum maintenance requirement. So I only have 1 copy of this. I'm happy to share it. I can print more off. I can email to other members of the committee. I think this is something that we should be discussing and developing this legislation as it is tailored to Nelsonville. Start putting feelers out to see who among our community could serve on a commission for historic preservation. And that's my spiel.
Okay, wow, so you're ready to move this on to full council for discussion, or you want to bring up the ordinance forward?
So I am not sure. I'd be open to you guys' thoughts on the matter. I don't know if we are prepared to put this before council. This isn't a sample ordinance by
Right.
itself. It's just kind of guidelines for writing one.
Okay.
And with
I'm not sure
20
if,
minutes left in this meeting, I don't think we can define all of these,
Right.
tonight.
I think we need to see too, if there's already a group or organization working on preservation.
That was gonna be my question, Mr. Clement, because I've heard, that the Mitchum building, that Dr. Young was having so much trouble getting grant money for it because the historic commission, and I might have this wrong, but this is how I understood. The facade of the front is the only part that's really salvageable or can't be bothered, they can't take it down. And the building is collapsing within itself, is what I've heard. Do you know?
I do have a little bit of knowledge on that,
Yeah.
if I may.
So should we separate the two discussions or should we combine it?
I think we should separate the two discussions,
Okay.
but let me, maybe I could make a recommendation. Is this something that could be referred to the planning commission and let them take a stab at putting together an ordinance?
Or this proposal?
Yes.
That's a
Why
great
Why
idea.
not? Yeah, because I mean, to what you said, there could be other groups working on this, but they may not have the access to the same lines of funding that an actual certified local government would have.
I think that's a great idea, Fred.
Did you also have along with that sample, is there a community that you know of that we could maybe piggyback on?
I mean, there are, I think, 85 cities and
Mhm.
municipalities around Ohio, that are currently certified local governments.
Okay, if you could,
I can send you that list. so
yeah,
can
if
look
you
at
could send me that
examples.
list, then maybe we could find a community approximately our size, or maybe even a little larger.
Mhm.
Is this different than a historic district?
It's different. It's not, it can't be used for a subsection of a city. It can't be used for a specific district. It is
This is called
to protect the historic integrity of the city
certified
as a whole.
local government?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah,
So the perfect example could be the kilns right down the road. That could fall under this
Yeah, I
to
don't see
preserve
why not.
those.
Mhm.
I thought there was a committee or something that was looking into the kilns, because I thought we went through and appropriated money to help them research and file for a grant or something on it.
Would that have been the Rotary Club?
I can't remember which organization it was, but it was brought up to us about preserving the kilns for history. And that they needed, support from us so they could apply for a grant to fix them up and take care of it.
Okay.
And I believe we passed that ordinance.
I know Neil Summers has been working on the kilns also. So I think as a committee, as you said, we're running a little bit here on time. I would recommend, if the other committee members agree, to move this to the planning commission.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It needs a little bit more research, a little bit more knowledge, and
Mhm.
I think you did a good job.
Absolutely, and I think this would be a good project for them to take on.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
thank you. We touched on last night the comprehensive plan. Again, we're just a little tight on time here, but Mr. Holmes, if you could update us.
We are working on putting together a final copy of the comprehensive plan, the proposal, not the comprehensive plan, the proposal to update it. I was hoping to introduce it at the second meeting in July, if we have a meeting. If we don't, then we'll introduce it at the first meeting in August. That also includes the HR part, and I think you'll be very happy and very pleased with what we're doing. But I would suggest whenever we introduce it, that we introduce it as an emergency, because we really need to get this done before we get into December, January. That way it'll give, it won't be something the new administration will have to do. They can take and use that going forward. So that's the update on that.
If, at all possible, if you could separate the cost of those two,
Okay,
that way it'd give us some more information.
and I hope to get it to the council early so you can review it prior to a meeting. I don't want you to look at it the first time at a meeting.
Thank you.
Get it to you early, you can review it. If you have any questions or issues, it'll give us time to adjust.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Just, I feel like, it was a little vague, you saying compensation plan.
Comprehensive plan.
I mean, comprehensive plan, excuse me, what were you talking about?
So back in 2004-05, council at that time had a comprehensive plan put together.
Right.
It cost, at that time, the city $75,000. There was a steering committee that was put together. I believe there were 15 members of the steering committee. And they looked at for the future of Nelsonville. It was somewhat required at the time, the discussion was about the bypass. And ODOT said, well, you don't even have a comprehensive plan of what your city is looking at. And that was during the discussion of whether there would be 2 or 3 interchanges, which ODOT had already made up their mind, but council at that time did the comprehensive plan. Then it just sat there, and it was looked at a few times, but it was never put into place. And when I came on council 3.5 years ago, that was one thing I was trying to push for, was to update the comprehensive plan so we had a vision of the future. And that's what we're looking at doing now, is updating the comprehensive plan. Some things have been done, a lot hasn't, but it's a good place to start to move into the future. And it helps with applying for grants and all that goes along with it, that the city has a comprehensive plan that can be punched right into a grant. It enhances the grant by having a comprehensive plan.
A general, a general plan and understanding of the status of things as they stand within our city, projects that the city would want to pursue over the next, certain amount of years. And I mean, things of that nature.
And the comprehensive plan should be periodically updated.
Mhm.
You have options of doing it. You can do it in-house, you can do it out-of-house.
Outhouse.
By a entity such as what Mr. Holmes is looking at. And in fact, I believe you said the entity you're talking to now is the one that originally did the comprehensive plan.
She did. Her name is Della Rucker, and she has extensive experience in Appalachia communities. I think she did one for Benton County. So she's familiar with this area. She's familiar with the challenges that we're faced. And I think the council will be very pleased with the outcome. I just attended a ribbon cutting yesterday down in Pomeroy for the Super 4. The 33 from Athens to Ravenswood. That's going to have an enormous impact on us. And you say, okay, it's not going to be done until 2028. Well, what do we do to get ready for it? I mean, they took the shovels and threw the dirt. It's on.
It goes from Pomeroy to Ravenswood?
No, it goes from Athens. They're
Oh,
changing
right.
33 from a 2-lane they call it
I
Super
just drove
Two.
that last week
Yeah.
to Ravenswood.
Yeah, and they're gonna change it to a 4-lane highway all the way to 77.
Ah.
It's the final connector, and I heard today that that project's $275 million.
So, yeah, we're right in the,
Yeah.
right in the pathway.
That's
So can we take advantage of that? How can we take advantage of it? That's gonna be a big change for us, because I would say everything on the East Coast in Florida is gonna come right down 33.
Yeah,
Why do you think a truck stop went just up the road from us?
yeah, that's true,
So-
that's true.
There's a reason that's there.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to express to you is that let's get it, the comprehensive plan will let us get ahead of it, then rather than play catch up.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we don't wanna,
Yeah.
we don't wanna find ourselves in that position.
Right, and we have the money in the economic development fund, the money's there. So this is not gonna be a strain on the city finances, and that's what that money is for.
Yeah.
For something like this. So,
That's good.
we got a few minutes left, any other discussion on the comprehensive plan?
Oh, no.
Not on comprehensive plan, but I had a question for Mr. Holmes about the Planning and Development Commission. Do you know, how far along that is in terms of being ready to start meeting?
No.
Okay,
Um,
where is it in the process right now?
Right now, I've got 1, 2, 3 members. I had, I found folders in there that had the duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Had a
Okay.
nice folder of their duties and responsibilities. And I had a similar folder for the civil service. I don't have one
You
for
don't
the
have
planning
one for
commission.
planning commission.
And I just spoke with the former secretary. She does not have any information on that, so I've got to, not sure what I've got to do. I've got to find a folder, because people want to know what the planning commission does. And it would be nice if I had a nice folder with the duties over here and, that type of thing. And I thought, I don't know where that came from originally. So I'm researching with some former members and seeing if I can come up with a copy of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I do have several members who have expressed an interest in serving. And, as you may know, Betty Jo announced that she will be stepping down. And, I want to commend her on her service. I mean, she's been doing it a long time. And so we are revising and changing the way that we, didn't sound right. We're looking at how we do things under the planning and the zoning board of appeals. And both my administrative assistant, Michelle, and Austin have been very, very, very busy and very involved in that process. So I may have to reach out to some neighboring communities and get samples and just cut and paste.
A template, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Is that something that would have been defined, and probably not in the charter, but maybe in the code of ordinances in the city?
I think I looked in there and it's very limited on what it says.
Okay.
I'm looking for about an 8 or 9 page document.
Okay.
I don't know, it may not exist, to be honest with you. I
It's
have one other
possible.
person that I can call and, Steve Pearson. I can check with him.
Oh, hell no.
Okay, but as soon as I get that, because one of the candidates that I'm looking at wants to know the difference between the planning commission and the zoning board of appeals. If I had that folder, I could tell them, but I don't have that folder. So that's what I'm working on this week. Any other question? Okay.
No.
Okay, last thing, you wanted to discuss the Meacham building?
I do.
Okay.
The Meacham building, and I had a short discussion with, Dr. Young. That building's gonna have to come down. There's no, that's beyond it's gone too far. So somehow or another in the near or mid future, we're gonna have to see if we can work out an arrangement between Hocking College and I think Baird Stewart Foundation is interested. And we're gonna see if we can come up with some demolition money on that.
It's not the building that's next to the Hive.
Well, there's the
Oh,
Baird Foundation is in between it.
Oh, okay.
That little building.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
Baird Foundation. I was trying to get money for it 20 years ago. And when I went in, the last time I went, I had to go in with a full body suit and a mask. It's nasty. I mean, it's the last wooden building in the city. And it's just not, there's not enough money to rehab it. It's sad, but we need to take pictures of it and record the history, but it's gonna have to come down.
Mr. Holmes, do you think we should be looking ahead to replace it?
I had some discussions with Hocking College and also with Baird Foundation. They would like to make that block part of the park. Part of the what do we call it? I can't.
Nelson Commons.
Nelsonville Commons, yes. There's been discussion about a basketball court or a pickleball court or something like that. And if you think about it, we don't have any courts downtown. We have them down at Poly Field, but we don't have anything downtown. So in our discussion, that may be what do you call it? A condition that will be used for a park type thing. And the Hive, and then that also brings up the discussion, what do we do with the Baird Foundation? Did they get moved over, or is it just, do we tear it down? So.
They're still working in there, don't they?
Steve Cox still works in there, yeah, but it's,
But yeah, it would be difficult to take down the Meacham building, leave one stand if we could utilize that space in a better way.
yeah. I'm sure it's gonna be part of the discussion. Now,
Mhm,
maybe it could be moved over.
mhm.
That's a possibility. But, I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but
Mhm.
we don't want to lose our buildings, but that one, you can't. I don't think there's not enough money to salvage it. So, we don't have to, we have to make any decisions tonight, but I want to get it on the table and let you begin to think about it and kind of digest it, because at some point in time, the three entities are gonna have to have a meeting and come up with because that building just, the condition it is in, it's almost like a neon sign that says, nobody cares. And that's not true. I know the council cares, I know Hocking College cares, I know Baird Foundation cares. But leaving it there does not send out the right message for it. And so, I'm gonna keep bringing it up, and then maybe what I ought to do is set a meeting up between the three entities and say, what can we do? What is your part? What is your part? What is your part? And I'm sure the city is gonna play a part in that.
Is the Mitchum building right beside the other vacant building, right?
Right,
Well,
but that building is not a wooden structure.
right. But it seems to me that if we could maybe go after some business to occupy that building, they would want to add on to the vacant space left by the Mitchum building, rather than turn it into a pickleball court or a part of Nelsonville Commons. That's just my idea,
Right.
my thought.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't mean it's right, you know.
If it's okay with the committee, you want me to try and set a meeting up in the next, between the three entities, just to begin some discussion?
No, I think
Yeah, I
that would
would
be
like
great
that.
if the committee agrees, yes.
Yeah. I would
Okay.
like
Okay.
that.
I'll try to do that.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
May I
Um,
ask who owns this building?
Hocking College, well, the Meacham building is owned by Hocking College.
Rudders owns that other building.
Right.
The Rudders own that whole strip going up
This
to
guy who just walked in the room, I
on
watched
Columbus Street.
Look, this is your English teacher.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Well,
Okay.
unless there's anything else, I think that,
That's what it is.
should end our committee meeting at 6:45.